Well, good morning, everybody. It's one of those days that it's never not exciting with Coffee with Democrats. It's not the outcome that we were shooting for, but it's completely understandable. Josh Bocanegra is not going to be able to join us today. He has a family emergency where he's going to have to rush. He is rushing a family member to the emergency room if they're not already there out in California. So it's humbling for us to be able to, extend our thoughts and prayers to him and his family, and that they can get this resolved as quickly as possible. Again, it's completely unfortunate and completely unforeseen, but it's completely understandable. So, we're going to send our thoughts and prayers, but we do have some very good things to talk about today with Coffee with Democrats. We're going to talk shortly with Naomi. Naomi Andrews is one of the people that's really working with the Democrats up in Tulsa, and we're going to get a brief from her on how the Tulsa response has been, and then we're going to talk with Madeline Ryan Smith. She was out at the Young Dems convention in Las Vegas, so we're going to have that at the end of it. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about Josh Bocanegra and his campaign, and it's a very good campaign. And he's somebody that I think we really need to put on our radar and start paying attention to. Really, I'm going to play a short YouTube. It's about 2 minutes long. It talks a little bit about Josh. It talks about his ambitions. And I think it really will set the tone for a future conversation when he is available to come back on to Coffee with Dem, so that we can actually do a complete interview with him. But this will set the stage for that and kind of give us some background about who he is. So let me get this queued up here and playing so that everybody can listen to this. And again, this is about Josh Bocanegra. He is running for California House District 30. California House District 30 is the Adam Schiff's position. And as you guys know, yesterday, Adam Schiff was attacked brutally by the Republicans for doing his job and holding President Trump accountable for election interference back in 2016. By allowing Russians to come on to and provide information and actually scheme to overturn the election, which caused him to be elected. So again, that's the first time in American history where a foreign government has had impact on it, and that was Adam Schiff who actually investigated that, brought about the first impeachment. And the very first time that a sitting president was actually brought up to face charges, and also a vote to have him dismissed from office. So again, that's just a little bit of a backstory about Adam Schiff and what took place yesterday, and the person who is challenging for that position to take over whenever. I guess I need to back up. Adam Schiff is now going to run for Senate, and because Senator Feinstein is retiring, and there's an open position there in California, and that's so Adam's going to move up to run for election for Senator Feinstein's place, and that leaves an open spot in California for House District 30. So I think I've got everything laid out there so that everybody understands where we're at. And here is the audio from Josh. So let's listen to this.
In 2008, the financial crisis hit the United States. I was 18, with no job, no diploma, and a newborn daughter. My friends were getting murdered. My father died suddenly, and a near fatal car accident left me questioning my future. So I packed my bags and I moved to California with just $300 in my pocket. Today, I stand before you as an entrepreneur and as living proof that anything is possible. And now, I'm running for Congress. I'm running to reform education by prioritizing literacy, mental health, critical thinking, and providing tuition-free college for all. I'm running to protect reproductive rights, close the gender pay gap, secure paid family leave, and affordable childcare for working parents. I'm running to build a smarter tax system, one that addresses the climate crisis, wealth inequality, and the rise of automation. I'm running to simplify healthcare, reduce crime, fight for a living wage, and expand affordable housing so that the California dream is possible for all. And there's so much more we need to do. And I know the road ahead will not be easy, but I'm no stranger to adversity. You see, the leaders of the past took our future from us. And now, with your help, the new generation can take it back. My name is Josh Bocanegra, and I'm running to represent California's 30th District.
That's a very compelling advertisement, and it's something for all of us to consider. And if we can, I'm going to try to get Calais to see if we can put up into the nest the Act Blue for Josh, and if there's any way that we can support him. I think it's something that it's worthwhile. Again, this is for the primary. There's a lot of Democrats out there that are running for that position, but at this point, it's very compelling for me to say, we need to support Josh, and if there's any way that if we can support him financially, we need to do what we can for him. So that said, Josh, let's move over to Naomi. Naomi is on here. She has been the lead for the Oklahoma Democrats in the disaster that has taken place over in Tulsa, a disaster that has been magnified by the fact that we have had both our governor and lieutenant governor who became absent without notification to anybody else within the leadership and became missing. They did not provide, they were lying to us, telling us, different stuff about what they were looking for, when in fact they were out of position, and we had to wait a couple of days until the actual acting governor was notified that he was acting governor so that he could respond. And he did. He responded very rapidly. But again, this disaster has been exacerbated because we had a governor and lieutenant governor who were delinquent on their duties. So, Naomi, you want to give us a little background and talk to us where we stand in Tulsa?
Sure. So, first, I guess I would just say that what started was really more grassroots. Like, I happen to be the chair of the 1st Congressional District, which is where we were hit the hardest. It covers Tulsa. And I have been fortunate enough to have power the whole time because I live on the outskirts. I wasn't part of the city where it was hit the hardest. And I was seeing all of these things come across my feed, come across Facebook, come across Twitter, of resources that were available, good advice from my past work, doing plain language and helping people in emergencies. I was able to remember some of the things that we needed to put out there, like how to avoid getting scammed, how to, know if your food's good. So I knew of a lot of resources, and I started putting together a resource. And then I realized that as chair, And knowing the Tulsa County chair well, I was able to get a place to store resources. And I just realized that having a network of Democrats already to do good work, I would be able to do more if I reached out to other people. And so I started reaching out, I started sharing my document, and everybody was on board. Kevin actually drove up with a bunch of supplies from Cleveland County. We have somebody, Aaron York, who's at the Tulsa County office, who's like there to receive goods and to go pass them out to people. We have people in Oklahoma City at the state headquarters that are receiving goods. I reached out to some nonprofits that I partner with in my daily work to see if they wanted to receive monetary donations so that people would know the money was going for disaster relief, not for um, party building purposes, right? And so everybody really just stepped up. We are seeing more people get their power back right now, but there are some people, um, hopefully you can still hear me. My friend Shelly is without power. She hasn't had power since Saturday. Um, and so there are a lot of people still suffering out here. We're trying to get together. We were going to do a cookout tonight, and I think it's still on. We're just going to do it at Tulsa County headquarters. We were trying to make it a little bit bigger, but we don't necessarily have the resources or the staff to do it. Somebody has brought up a whole bunch of meat, hamburger meat, and then we're getting some hot dogs and we're buying all the little extras. But our focus right now, we're shifting to what's called the Great Pantry Restock. Um, by the time we get some of the other supplies, like we'd been trying to source inexpensive personal fans, but we're getting really close to power being turned back on, we think, for everybody. And we know that some of the hardship that people are going to have to deal with is going to be after power comes back on. There were people who had lost 2 weeks worth of food, which is a lot of money. And even though you can get groceries replaced, if you had SNAP benefits or food stamp benefits, you can fill out a form and get that replaced, or you can fill out a form if you have homeowners insurance and get up to $500 of groceries replaced. For a lot of people, they don't have either of those things, right? If they're a renter, their renter's insurance may not cover it depending on how much they have. So we're trying to help people get food into their pantry. And we know that what people lost was really more like their refrigerator freezer food, but we don't have the space to store refrigerator and freezer food. So we're going to help them restock their pantry so that some of their other money can be freed up, or so their money can be freed up to help restock their fridge or their freezer, or so they can pay for any damages, like if they have to replace their weatherhead, which is on them. So that's really where we are. Still working with Calais to get maybe some of the tools from Arkansas. We were talking on the phone, like we really want to have all of the rural Arkansas caucus here, but the reality is that we still have so many people without power, so we can't just like invite them to stay in people's homes, depending on how many people are coming up. It's just not reasonable. We don't have any hotel rooms. We don't really have any Airbnbs. Plus, we don't have gas in the city of Tulsa right now. And that's one of the things on my resource list. We can put that back in there. Um, we don't have gas in this city. So people, if they get here, we're not sure when you can get home type of thing. So we're looking to see if maybe we could have one or two people come up maybe next week with tools that people can borrow and use, and if we can send people out. So it's really just like a day by day, moment by moment. We're needing to be very adaptable, and we're trying to do things. And honestly, one of the best things we've been able to do, and I've had people from a nonprofit and other people within the party help me with keeping up my resource document. One of the best things we've been able to do is just create a one-stop shop for people to go see what's available, or at least most of what's available. And every single time that I open that document, I'll grab the link for you, Calais, but every single time that I go and open the document to make edits, I see so many more people in there. And so, and then I think Calais she put it up in there so people can see. And it's just, it's been such a great response. And we're so grateful for all the help. People are tired. Like, even people who do have power are tired because the whole city needs to come together. And my main thing about that is that if we had a functioning government, if we had people who were in place because they actually cared about doing the right thing instead of just using their position to promote themselves and their personal ideology, if we just had more real adults in office, we wouldn't have this. Like, as much as I dislike our Mayor Bynum, at least the city of Tulsa has had a decent response. And the city of Tulsa was calling on the state government to call a disaster declaration, like, immediately. And they're putting out good information. They're opening up places. It's just unfortunately not enough because we don't have the budget to do things because of all the continual calls to basically have zero taxes ever. So yeah, that's where we are. And I'm sorry for rambling, guys. I'm not getting a lot of sleep right now. So
Well, we appreciate everything that you're doing to help the citizens of Tulsa. And just like we've talked about before, we are Democrats, but we're Oklahomans first. And all of the resources that we've taken from Cleveland County as part of the Coffee with Dems organization, we took it up there not to be partisan or just to be used for Democrats. We're supplying this to everybody. All Oklahomans who have a need will receive will receive aid if they request it. We're not going to discriminate. Just like the storm didn't discriminate, we're not going to discriminate either. We're going to be open to whomever has the need for it. And that's one of the things that I really appreciated. One of the early statements that you made, Naomi, was we're going to help everybody. So appreciate that, and appreciate everything that you're doing up there to keep this alive and keep it going for as long as you have.
yes,
So
thank you. I'm posting photos right now for Calais to put up there because I personally drive up a bunch of this stuff. And he was able to get donations from businesses. Like, unfortunately, and I'm going to say this with like no shade, like, we went to Costco here. Costco in Tulsa would not help. And, they might have a good reason for that. Maybe it's because they're getting a lot of requests right now. And Kevin went to the right person at the right Costco at the right time and was able to get some stuff. But, we are very grateful for the help that Coffee with Democrats has given and that Cleveland County has given too. And you're exactly right. This is for everybody. And that's the other thing, is that we're getting targeted by, I think, bots, some of it, like people saying that, why are you making it political? And the answer to that is that it's not political. It's that the best resources that I have in my life for getting help quickly are Democrats who are compassionate and care. People like Kevin, people like Coffee with Democrats, Calais. And that says a lot about the community that you guys have built too. And we're just very appreciative of that and for you guys allowing us to be a part of it. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate it again. Thank you very much for the update, Naomi. I think we're going to move on now to we had besides the disaster, besides what's going on with Josh Bocanegra, we also had a very exciting activity that took place this week out in Las Vegas, where the young Democrats from all over the nation went to Las Vegas for a convention. And here to talk about that is Madeline Ryan Smith. So, Madeline, you want to come on and talk to us about your experience with the Young Dem convention that took place out in Las Vegas?
Yeah. Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. And Naomi, thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. I've been trying to pay attention to what's going on in Oklahoma. I was flying over that state this morning, very early actually, and I thought about you guys as I was like looking at my plane window, and I knew that I was over Oklahoma. I was like, I wonder what Kevin's doing right now. And so, but that's just heartbreaking what's going on in your state, and I y'all are in my thoughts. I just wanted to let you know that. But this week we had the Young Democrats of America National Convention, and that was at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, which was not an experience I'd ever had in my life before. I have never been to Vegas. Vegas was not anything like on a bucket list of my travels or anything like that, but it was a very uh I thought it was a very interesting city. I love how there's like the New York area and Paris area, and they have like the little Eiffel Tower and the little Statue of Liberty. So Vegas was kind of a trip, but it was a lot of fun. And the convention itself was really, really successful. We had amazing chapters show up with some kick-ass delegates, y'all. I mean, I know how much we talk about the youth vote and how important Gen Z is and how important it is to get the young people involved in politics. Y'all, we are. I wish that I could send through to you the energy that was in those rooms over this week, because it was so infectious and so motivating and so like not anything I'd ever been in before. And what was really exciting about my experience, and something that I really honestly appreciate, because I have not really been involved in politics for very long. I've been here for 2 years max. And this calendar year was really when I got more involved in YDA. So like as a national platform, because I was really involved in my local chapter of the Young Democrats. I was our vice president at the Georgia Southern chapter when I was in college, and I held several positions, blah, blah, blah. And then I got more involved in the Young Democrats of Georgia. And then, YDA is our national. So this is the first time that I had been to an event on the national scale. And the delegates that came with me from Georgia, I was one of, God, I want to say there were 8 or 9 of us in person there that were able to travel from Georgia and represent our state in the convention. And we had several, people that represented our state in different caucus meetings and the rules committee and different committees and things like that. I had the honor and privilege of being able to represent Georgia in our platform committee, where we were able to send one representative from every state, where we get in a room and we decide what our 2024 platform is. We go through line by line items, we read resolutions, we have debates, we talk to each other, we add amendments, and we solidify this document that is what we want as YDA to be presented as our 2024 platform. And it's extensive. I think there were 102 line items that were things from all different types of voter issues, from, like local education, and we had a lot of things on healthcare. We had a lot of things on uh, actually international policy was a huge part of it. We talked a lot about the situation in Ukraine, what's going on in Russia, and everything like that. And then we talked a lot about reproductive justice, racial justice was a huge topic. And we actually had an entire day of programming just for Juneteenth on Juneteenth, where we had some really, really cool guest speakers and all kinds of panels and workshops that we could go to. And that was like an all day event. So that was really, really cool to experience. And so I feel like I'm rambling now, and I'm still in Atlanta because I flew into Atlanta at 2 a.m. this morning, and I was able to crash at my parents' house, and I think somebody is mowing their lawn outside, so I think it's a little bit loud. But yeah, if you are interested in reading about what our platform rules and resolutions are, you can go to the YDA website and click on the drop down menu, and you'll see a tab for the 2023 National Convention. And if you click on that, it'll go to the website that houses all of this information, and you can read those Word documents that are those rules committees and the platform. You can read all of our line items and everything like that if you're really interested. So yes, thank you guys for letting me give an update.
Yeah, that's great. So we had one of our legislators, Amanda Swope from Tulsa, who was actually out there. I don't know if you were able to meet up with her. I told her to try to look out for you if you were within the Georgia delegation. She would be within the Oklahoma delegation to talk with you. But we were hoping that maybe you guys could meet up at some point. But it's very interesting to read. So again, if you go to yda.org, there's a lot of information in there about Young Democrats of America. And it talks about Young Democrats of America celebrating Nancy Pelosi's historic trailblazing years. Young Democrats of America condemns anti-Semitic statements made by Kanye West. I mean, it just goes on, and these are exceptional platforms that I'm glad to see young people address, because it's something that, you know, is Kanye West is kind of directed toward the younger population, with his stuff. I think when he first got started, he wasn't political, and there was some good stuff that came out of him. But here lately, everything he's done, it's just been crazy. And I'm glad to see that we have a group of people who are not going to stand up for that.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely. And just real quick, I wanted to touch on just a couple of line items because we were able to, as delegates, specifically put in amendments that we chose. If we wanted something specific added to the platform, we could submit it and it would get added. We would have a debate, vote on it, etc. And so some things that were really important to some of our delegates from all over the country that were put in our platform. I have two, and one is that we support the right to an attorney during civil cases, because a lot of people, in criminal cases, you do get a right to a lawyer or an attorney, but in civil cases, you do not have a right to an attorney. And if you don't have one, obviously, like 9 times out of 10, you're getting screwed over. So that was something that was put forward, and somebody, debated and was very passionate about that. So I just wanted to put that forward. And then also something that we had an entire delegation from DC and Puerto Rico there. And they were very passionate about DC and Puerto Rican statehood. And so I just wanted to put those two pieces of our platform on your minds. You guys can read more about it. But thanks, y'all.
that was good. That's really good. I'd like to see Puerto Rico and DC become their own states. It's unfortunate right now that they're in that tug back and forth. And we saw the disaster that took place during the Trump administration, the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico, and it just, devastated the island. And then, but because of politics, they got nothing. So it's unfortunate, and it would be better for them to be fully a full state, so that the full force of the federal government would be granted to assist. So we have Kelly that has a comment.
I put a ton of things up in the nest if you guys want to check it out, all the way back from Josh's YouTube video that you guys can check out. It's really awesome. He's also having an event on July 6th it's a wine with him. There's also an Act Blue on that link, and there's several documents or graphics there for Oklahoma with links to donate, things that they need, if you guys want to check that out, and then the YDA link. But also, Madeline, could you talk a little bit about what you have coming up next week?
Yes. So y'all, my own campaign team has to remind me to talk about myself. Okay. So next week we are having 2 events. One is a fundraising event at a restaurant that I'm actually a huge fan of. The venue that we're having is a restaurant that is in Statesboro that is owned by a person that is really, really supportive of the progressive politics that not only our local government and our mayor, but, all of our other, progressive individuals in our municipality, if you will, have been supportive of. So we try to pick, areas that we are aligned with our mission. And so I'm pretty excited about having it at this venue. And that's, a fundraising event where we are going to allow, people to come up to the patio, talk, have conversations, network, collaborate, share ideas, get the ball rolling for 2024. What's really exciting, I think, about our local area here and everything that's going on in our local politics is that there are a lot of Democrats that are now motivated to run for office. And there are way more Democrats in primaries coming up in 2024 in not only our like counties and House districts, but also our congressional district, which is Congressional District 12. That's going to be a very heavy Democratic primary, and that's actually Rick Allen's seat. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. And so I really wanted to create that to be kind of a situation where a lot of those people who are political organizers or potential candidates or current elected officials can come together and talk about how we can have a collaborative campaign, because I think that is something that really worked for us last time. Even though I lost my election in 2022, I still got 30% of the vote as a brand new, fresh college graduate, first time candidate. And that was only because I was able to build bridges and collaborate and lean on people in my area that already were candidates, that already did run for office several times before me and knew what they were doing. And I was able to, have those conversations. I'm a big believer in collaboration. And so that's, kind of the goal there. And then our event right after that, the next day, we are having a Statesboro community cookout, which I'm so excited for. We are bringing the entire community together, and I have my partner and his best friend grilling out for us. And we are just going to have some food, have fun, be outside. We're having the event at one of our local parks, and I'm really excited for that because I think that's how our local area really thrives, is coming together as a community. We do that a lot through all kinds of programming through our city and things that go on downtown and our farmers market and everything. That's what I really love about my city of Statesboro, is that we're very, very much a tight community. And I feel like everybody says that about their small town that they're from, but as someone who truly, I spent 15 years in Charlotte, North Carolina as a child. So I got the city experience and went to college in a small rural town. And it really changed my mindset on the world and how people live and politics and, just what's important to people. I think having both of those experiences helped me make decisions as a candidate and things like that. And it makes me more understanding of people that don't have my background or that are different from me. So I'm really, excited for that to just come together as a community. And those are our two events. And so if you're listening to this and you're around in Statesboro, Georgia, come see us. And that's happening on the 26th and 27th of this month. So next week.
Man, I wish I lived in Georgia now. Say, Steve, you have a comment?
Well, I had a question of Madeline. Hi, Madeline. Good morning.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm curious how the Carters are doing, Jimmy and Rosalind. I haven't heard anything lately on the national news, and just wondered if you had anything to pass on and share.
I'm probably as informed as you are on that. I haven't seen anything either, but I can look into it and get back to you.
Well, it's just, we all think a lot of the Carters. I just can't think of a better couple, family. And they're still here. I think Jimmy Carter's 98. I think Rosalind's just 95 or something like that. And, we hear about that Jimmy Carter is in hospice, which to me in the past has meant he had very little time to live. But I think maybe the standards have changed on that definition. So, yeah, I was just curious how they're doing. And if you have anything, that'd be great to share back. Thank you.
All right, let's move over to Arkansas and talk a little bit about CAPES and what's going on over there, because CAPES it's an exciting event. It's an exciting organization, not event, but it's an exciting organization, and their purpose is really it goes down to basic freedoms and liberties. So let's have an update from CAPES.
Hey, what's going on? We have really been under fire for the last week or so. If anyone's following from national news, we filed a lawsuit against the state because they enacted emergency clauses on 144 bills, including our LEARNS Act, which is going to be devastating to rural Arkansas and shut down Arkansas schools and It's going to shift public tax dollars to, private religious entities. And we got a temporary restraining order to stop the action of the LEARNS Act. And the Attorney General sued us to the Supreme Court, and it became very, very political. Guys, in Arkansas, democracy is under attack. Our state constitution is being thrown out by our Supreme Court, basically. We have very specific laws that we have written, and we have an attorney general literally going before the court saying, ignore what the Constitution says, and making threats against the courts and all kinds of stuff. But then we had a hearing on the emergency clause, and we're waiting for the judges to come in our favor. I think we're going to win that one, which will stop the act until July 31st, and we're collecting signatures to repeal the act. And if we can get 55,000 signatures before the end of July, and if we can get this emergency act thrown out, we'll put this in abeyance until November of 24, and it'll put it on the ballot, and the people of Arkansas can decide if we want to throw it out, which I think that we will have enough support, because it is a very unpopular act. But, it's bigger than just Arkansas and our education system. This is a radical philosophy, a Trumpian MAGA right philosophy that is taking place across 24 different red states, and it's growing. And they're coming after our education system. They're coming after LGBTQ communities. They're coming after our libraries. They're coming after it's just terrible what is happening here. It is like living in To Kill a Mockingbird, 1950s. Like, it is backwards. They are being outwardly racist. They're being outwardly bigoted, and proud of it. And we have got to get some money coming into this state to help us fight back the right. I'm waiting for them to pass a law that says you can't go past the border in Arkansas, and you're going to lock us down in the state and take away our rights, and we're going to be in a handmaid's tale. It's terrible. Sarah Huckabee has national ambitions, and this is something they're going to try to push across the country, and we've got to all come together and fight this.
Well, thank you for the
update there, Steve.
Getting a
little feedback. All right, see if that helped a little bit. I went ahead and muted Steve's microphone for him. We're not getting the feedback now, but this has been kind of going to be a short conversation today. It's unfortunate that we came this way, but Calais, you want to talk for a little bit?
I did want to kind of touch on what Steve was saying. I don't think Arkansas gets enough national attention. These bills, this legislature right now, it's insane. It's horrible. The things that are coming out of our legislature it's mind-blowing. But we did have some good news earlier this week. Federal judge did decide that the anti-trans laws that they pushed out were unconstitutional. So there's that. That's some really good news. Finally, we needed that. But please pay attention to what's going on in Arkansas. It's not going to just happen in Arkansas.
You're exactly right. And I'll just make a quick comment that it seems like every single time that we get a state like Texas or Arkansas or Florida who puts out some kind of racist legislation, our governor here and some of our legislators in Oklahoma are like, yeah, you did okay, but hold our beer because we're getting ready to do something. And they're just, like you said, just extremely proud of everything that they're doing to try to take away liberties from, everybody, whether it be women, LGBTQ, it doesn't matter. They're, and here we are, we're celebrating Pride Month, and this is the month that the LGBTQ is under the most and greatest attacks. I did want to back up, talk just a little bit. Steve, you were talking a little bit about CAPES, and I wanted everybody to know what CAPES stands for, and that's Citizens for Arkansas Public Education and Students. And you can follow them at @ARK CAPE. Excuse me, I was going to pronounce it out, but let me go ahead and spell it out. @ARKCAPES. @ARK-CAPES is what it is. So please follow along with what CAPES is doing. They're doing some really, really good work in Arkansas. And I love the enthusiasm too coming out of Arkansas, especially with Steve. He's always such a positive person, and I appreciate that. Steve Holcomb, you got a question?
Well, I appreciate Kelly mentioned some good news coming out of Arkansas, and I think it's been mentioned before, but since we're on the topic of essentially charter schools and publicly funding private schools, I think it's worth mentioning again Gettner Drummond's news release that came out on June 5th, and where he was, and I'll just read it. It's not very long, but the title of it is Drummond, and that's our Attorney General here in Oklahoma, and he's a Republican, just so everyone knows. But the title is that Drummond says religious charter school approval is unconstitutional. So what happened here in Oklahoma was that there's a statewide virtual charter school board that approved an application that would essentially permit public funding of a religious charter school. And Gettner came out and said that decision is unconstitutional and that legal action is likely after a contract for the school is signed. And I know it's been reported in the news over here that the school that is likely seeks to be funded with these funds is already hiring attorneys to get ready for litigation. But this board voted 3-2 to approve an application by the Catholic Archdiocese of Oklahoma City to establish an online public charter school. And I'll just quote this language from Drummond's press release. The approval of any publicly funded religious school is contrary to Oklahoma law and not in the best interest of taxpayers. It's extremely disappointing that board members violated their oath in order to fund religious schools with our tax dollars. In doing so, these members have exposed themselves in the state to potential legal action that could be costly. That's the press release. He's a Republican, but I think it's worth here on Coffee and Democrats to applaud, actions and rational actions and constitutional defenses that are presented by independents, Democrats, or Republicans. And that's what Gettner Drummond is doing in this situation.
Well, and also coming out of his office, which let's talk a little bit about the office that was established whenever he was elected. The previous Attorney General O'Connor was a political hack who took over, was appointed in that position because we had an Attorney General who came under some real bad ethics problems with having relations with people within the office. So he ended up resigning, and O'Connor was able to go in and was a political hack that was appointed for the state of Oklahoma, was in position at the same time that the Supreme Court Dobbs decision was made, and we immediately moved for a total ban on abortion under O'Connor. Now we see this an elected Attorney General who came on, and he's doing some things that he's holding our governor to account. He's holding the state government to account. But yesterday he also had one of his assistant Attorney General down here in Norman. And if you guys remember, we had Summer Beaumier on here back in September, early October, when she was under investigation and resigned and was living here in Norman, going to Norman High School as a teacher, and she ended up resigning. Well, the state superintendent of public education or public instruction, he's still trying to go after her teaching license. Well, he failed already twice before, and this was supposed to be third time's the charm to get it. And coming out of the Attorney General's office, an assistant attorney general, said there's no proof that she violated the law, any law for the state of Oklahoma. And I think that just shows credit to, finally having somebody who was elected by the people who understands the law. He's still a Republican. He's still going to support Trump. He's going to support Stitt. But at the end of the day, he's putting the law before personal ambition. So it's kind of refreshing for us to see some of these things that have taken place here in Oklahoma. So I appreciate you talking about that, Steve.
Yeah, and I want to say one other thing is that there was, I think there was an independent that ran in the general election, but maybe for the first time ever, there wasn't a Democrat running for attorney general in Oklahoma. And there's a lot of lawyers who are Democrats in Oklahoma. I'm one of them. I'm not making a speech here that I'm going to run for that office. And full disclaimer, actually, I know Gettner personally. But we need to encourage someone, more than one someone in Oklahoma who's a lawyer and a Democrat to run for this office. And I'm not knocking down Gettner as what he's doing at all. I'm just saying we need Democrats to be running for all offices. This is a significant office. If O'Connor had been reelected, my goodness, we might be in as dire straits as what we heard from Steve a while ago regarding Arkansas. Right. We're not in great shape as it is, but it's a breath of fresh air to see someone, a traditional Republican, step up and say, there are rules there are guardrails that need to be protected, and that's what they're doing. So let's keep thinking about who might be able to run for the AG's office here the next time around. And I'll just leave it at that.
And that's a great theme to close our Coffee with Dems. And that's the reason we have this outreach, is to get people excited about, voting, registering to vote as a Democrat, voting as a Democrat. But we need to expand our mission to also encourage people to run for office in the state of Oklahoma, particularly in places that have historically been unopposed, that Republicans can basically put their name on the ballot and walk into the job without even having an election, just like what they're having up in Missouri. And we have Jess on from time to time. We need to be challenging that. And then one of the people that we had coffee on, Democrats in Ohio, David Pepper, was on. That's his theme, and that's his book that we support as well. So we're going to continue to push that theme going forward into 2024 and make sure that this year we get people that are actually registered Democrats that are putting their names on the ballots, and how that fellow Democrats can help support them. So I think we've said about all we can say today for Coffee with Dems, and it'll be a little bit shorter than what we've had in the past, but I think this was a very, very good Coffee with Dems, Coffee with Democrats conversation today. That was a very broad-based conversation that we jumped all over the place with several different conversations. So thanks everybody for joining us today and being on. Naomi, Madeline, Steve over in Arkansas, Steve up in Pawhuska. Thank you everybody. Calais, thanks everybody for participating today and listening in. We're going to be back on here next week. It's going to be kind of touch and go for me. I've got a new grandbaby coming. Could be here any day. So I don't have anybody scheduled for that reason, because whenever the phone call comes, we're taking off and going to Illinois to be with our son and his wife to have the birth of their next son. So we're looking forward to that and wish us the best on our travels. All right, guys, until the next time, everybody, please be safe.